Assalamualaikum everyone. Welcome back to part 2 of today's session of Ramadan Reach Out, and today is Ramadan Recovery. So Alhamdulillah, earlier on we've already seen, if you are just like seeing the Q&A right now, please go over to the previous video. There's part 1 where we've heard and seen Ustazah Liyana and Ustazah Hana share with us about some hadith and what are we to do in the last 10 nights of Ramadan. So right now is a Q&A session for all of our ladies here, of our girlfriends here, online as well. If I see any questions online, we'll be able to address them and answer them as we go along. And for the rest of the girls here, we'll be able to answer, or pose their questions directly to us. So early on, there was a question asked, and we are going to be answering it right now. And once again, I'd like to reintroduce to you once again our Ustazahs for today. We have Ustazah Liyana Musfirah here with us, and we have Ustazah Nurhana Irwan here with us. And the first question that we received earlier on through a note anonymously, she asked, what's the difference between Lailatul Qadar and Nuzul Al-Quran? I understand that both are descents of the Quran. Ustazah.
Okay, testing 1, 2, 3. Okay, I forgot to switch it on. The difference between Nuzul Al-Quran, which is most of us belief is on the 17th of Ramadan, and the night of Lailatul Qadar, which we do not know the dates of Lailatul Qadar, right? So the first one, Nuzul Quran, is the very first encounter of Prophet Muhammad SAW and Jibril. So that was believed when Surah Al-Alaq came down, the time where Prophet SAW first ever met Malaikat Jibril. It was during the night of Nuzul Quran. Okay, there are some narrations that believe it was on the 21st Ramadan, but the more popular narration is on the 17th of Ramadan. And if you notice, Quran came down in chunks, right? In gradually, bit by bit by bit, sometimes a lot, and then sometimes a little bit, and then a lot. So in Lailatul Qadar is one of those times where it came out quite a bit. It came down quite a bit. Okay, so Nuzulul Quran first, and then Lailatul Qadar is another night where another chunk of Quran actually came down. Okay? Can?
Okay, thank you, Ustazah. And your question?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum everyone. Okay, my question is that regarding about doa. Okay, you guys mentioned regarding about, yes, puji Allah dulu, everything. But what is the most afdal way to ask a doa? For example, if I were to do all about my family members, everything about my family members, sekali dah penat, takkan nak doa untuk diri sendiri. Or we do all about ourselves, sekali family members tertinggal. What is the most afdal way that you actually suggest to us to do the doa?
Tu apa tu kat luar? City Harvest Terlawan lagi. I think, to be honest, there's no exact way on how the preferred way to do a dua. There's different manual by different prophets. If you notice in the Quran how the 25 different prophets, the way they make dua, the way they ask for whatever they need from Allah, is usually very different from one another. But I think before I pass the mic to Ustazah Hana, I think it's really about what comes from the heart. Some people think that dua have to be in Arabic, so they actually memorize all the dua in the Quran. But if you don't memorize, you don't even know what you're asking God for, how do you expect God to understand what you're asking for? Right? I think for me, my biggest guideline that I would usually suggest to my students is always we begin with basmalah, right? We know the blessings of basmalah. Second, you glorify God, right? Third, some people say you have to be general. I disagree. I think you have to be very specific with what you want, right? And then after that, you close up with salawat to the Prophet, and then you close up your session, your prayer. But this is my experience, I'm going to tell you. If I'm making the dua, usually in my salat hajat, at the last sujud, I don't even know what I'm talking about. It just comes out from the heart. I can go from asking something good for my children to suddenly talking about my business. I can go from my business, asking God to bless my business and give my team health, suddenly to oh God, I need more money for this case. So it's all jumbled up. But if that's exactly what I felt at that point of time, and if that can give me that connection with God, I just say it. Because when you're too cautious, lepas ni I'm gonna ask for my mom, and after that my dad, and then after that it becomes too structured that you lose the essence of, that flow. And guess what? He knows what's on your list. He knows what you're gonna ask for, right? Even if there's no list, he knows. But honestly, if you ask me one word, whatever that comes from the heart, sincerely just pour it all out. That's my manual.
Yeah, agree with Ustazah Liyana. There isn't a particular method or template for you to make your dua. Yang penting, make that dua. And of course, the Prophet did mention, like I said, puji-puji, because you wanna ask something from God, right? And God said He has 99 names that are known to us, right? Call Him by those names. Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, God who answers prayers, God who listens, who knows everything, Basically just, it's also a way of assuring yourself, telling yourself, this is the God with all these traits and attributes. No worries. So pray to Him, call out to Him, okay? But I also want to assure us, like what Ustazah Liyana, and I want to pick up on that point, is that some of us, we are really good at crafting our dua. And there are celebrities or influencers where they craft dua, you're like, wow, I want this dua, right? I want to be able to dua like this, right? Number one, it's not wrong to pick dua from ulama. Ulama have crafted a lot of beautiful duas. We can learn from that, we can take that, and then we can use that. There are duas in the Quran, and duas in the Quran, Nabi aja, short and sweet. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina adhaban nar. Those are dua you can play. It does not have to be bombastic, macam air zam-zam or whatever. Like those kind of dua. It's good if you have that flair. You have like Kak Fajar, she's very good with words. She has a way with words. You can make it as beautiful as possible, right? And it's good because God wants you to ask of Him, and be as detailed as possible in your dua for Him. But some of us, we are just not good with words lah. We don't know what we want, but we don't know how to articulate it, and that's okay. Just as Liyana said, if you think, I don't know how to craft it, Ya Allah give me good life, Ya Allah give me goodness in this world and in the hereafter for me and for my loved ones, it's okay. As long as after solat, Nabi cakap don't rush off. After you complete solat, I'm going to select first, now I'm going to rush off, right? Make some time to make dua. Whatever dua that is. Okay? And worst comes to us, at the end of the day, God knows everything. Even if you cannot articulate it in the way that you want it, He knows. He hears. He listens. Okay, God is closer to us than our jugular veins. Right? So He knows exactly what is in the deepest of your hearts. As long as you make the intention of asking and praying to Him for what you want, He knows. Right? Even in a particular verse I was trying to find it. Chapter 9, 92. I just want to read you this ayat. It says, "Nor is there blame on you, those who came to you, O Prophet, for mounts. And then when you said, I can find no mounts for you, they left with their eyes overflowing with tears out of grief that they had nothing to contribute." Okay, the context is basically, these are people in the past, they want to go for jihad. They want to go for battle together with Rasulullah and the rest of the military team, but they could not find mounts, macam kenderaan, whether in the form of like animals, because they need to travel far, right? And so each of you need to have mount for you to go on so that it can carry you through the distance. And these people, they want to participate, but they are not able to join because they don't have the mounts. So God says specifically, He mentioned the tears flowing out of their eyes, because God wants you to know God notices your tears. Even if you don't say it, you don't talk about how broken, how disappointed you are when you cry and you say, Ya Allah, and you cry, God knows. That tears, they tell stories in a way that even if you cannot articulate, don't worry. You have a God that is all-knowing, all-hearing, and all-seeing. Okay? So don't worry about how to make the dua. as long as you make that dua. Okay?
I have one question.
Sure.
Okay, based on the stories that you told, I think the few stories is
Yeah.
related, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's about the relationship between Abu Bakr and the
Mistah, yes.
Mistah. So they are related, so they know each other well.
Yeah.
So I could relate to this question. So I have this question where should we give money to those who misuse when we give them? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's really beautiful. I think it's a call that you have to make, right? Like the earlier situation where we encountered with someone whom we knew is a scammer. Okay, God doesn't say just give. And God says specifically don't help in things that contribute towards badness. So if you know for certain that this person without fail every month is going to use this money for something, and you don't want to give because you don't want to encourage such a behavior, then it's not a fault of yours. Okay, it's a call that you have to make. Not because you feel this person is not deserving of your help, right? But because you don't want the person to spend for things that are haram. Put it simply. Because you don't want to play a part in him, allowing him to consume what is haram. Okay? But that does not mean that you should stop your help altogether. So we can be creative. For example, if he says, I need this money to eat because I don't have money to spend on my groceries. Right? So you say, okay, if that is your main intention, I will call Grab for you or Pandama or whatever lah. I don't know why am I mentioning all these platforms. But basically, I'm going to order groceries for you so that need of yours is met and I continue my good deed to you. Right? Because this is what I have to do for you. Right? But don't so in a way, the key is don't deprive help completely. But if you know for sure that the help is going to be channeled to not good use, okay, then you can stop it. All right? I hope that's clear. Is that clear? Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Yes, Ustazah.
Because sometimes the tricky part, right, is money. We don't know what they're gonna use the money for. There was one time I give money. This is not ungkit, bangkit or bring up, okay? I give money to that person and that person went to buy cigarette. So I feel like, what? So he's smoking because of me, and he's a very old uncle, homeless, don't have anything to wear. So he has this stench tau. So normal lah, I give you money because I trust you to do whatever you want with this money. But then he went 7-Eleven and bought cigarette. Marlboro. Red colour. I saw. And then
Do you snatch it from him?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
No, to make it more painful, it's right in front of me. I'm like, you bought that over sandwich. I mean, 7-Eleven sandwich, egg mayonnaise is not bad,
It's very nice, actually.
It's very nice.
Yeah, to be
but
honest.
You bought that.
All sandwiches are nice. We have an ambassador right here. Well done.
So, I mean, the tricky part is if it's money, like, and then we cannot control what they're going to use with that money. So I told him, okay, you know what? I'm going to be creative. Like Ustazah said, be creative. So if you see someone, they don't have money, give them food. Food is also currency. Yeah.
If they don't want food, I
You
just
see,
want
like,
money.
I'm sorry, I don't want food, I want money.
Yeah, they usually do that.
I don't want red colour, I want blue colour. Right, you get it tau. Like but bye you want to give, jadi you macam I have a bad experience in giving, I don't want to give anymore. Right, but I think honestly it goes back to your intention. Like if you can do it sincerely, give it. But if you know every time you give it and then that Marlboro box keep lingering in your mind, don't. Honestly, I had a trouble time giving because I've just had many bad experiences. I give you an example. We open up Higher Network. The amount of sisters asking for money on a daily basis is a lot. And we are a foundation to support women. And their stories, I'm telling you, Ustazah, they take picture, Ustazah, my child is drinking susu manis because I cannot afford formula. So they take a video, they mix susu manis with hot water, shake, give it to the son. And then when you see such video, of course you have to give, right? But then 2 weeks later, I saw the same exact women, right, at Sentosa going USS. So I'm like, so it makes me angry. So I made sure I did my due diligence. Screenshot, is this the same woman? Okay, the same woman. Maybe the woman has the same face. But if the baby also same face, cannot lah.
Right.
And they did not have the susu manis. They had that, you know, that very ridiculous price slushy. You know that long bottle Minion slushy that cost how much? $25, right? That thing. So I had very bad experiences. But I think honestly, it goes back to what you can do sincerely. When I give this $10, when I give this $50, will I be happy with it? Or will I be doubtful? Or hesitant, or what are they going to do with it? I don't want that was to come. So if I know with my giving that was comes, I'm not going to give. I give something else. You know what? I'm going to buy you formula. So when such messages come, you need Pampers for your child. Okay, give me the brand. Buy the brand immediately. So it's cleaner, you know, the transaction is cleaner. Just look at what the Prophet say, right? Like charity can comes in many forms. Ustazah talk about charity. In that beautiful hadith, it says to speak good words is also charity. So I'm so sorry. Thank you for working hard. I make dua for you. Inshallah next time. It's also a form of charity, right? And then the Prophet says, speaking good words is charity. Your steps that you take towards goodness, like prayer, is also charity. And last but not least, when you move a thorn or a rubbish from the road, so make sure nobody gets hurt, is also a form of charity. So, I mean, it goes back to us lah. How ready are we, you know?
MashaAllah. And I feel like the next question that I received through an airdrop is related to, you know, you really want to do good, but you feel discouraged from doing it. So she says, I enjoy giving, feeding others, etc. Yet I'm living with someone who judges others, talks about others, and expect things in return before kindness is offered. Elderlies especially has a mindset that's hard to change. And as much as I only think of the genuine amanah I'm trying to do, it is very hard for me to also not judge the negative vibe from this person who is always judging me. It is hard, but how can I fight this feeling without feeling so berdosa, without feeling I'm sinning, because this person is always doubting my good intentions? Ustazah. In our group chat, the answer will be...
Is it the mom?
I think it's a mom.
Is it the mom?
Yeah.
So sorry.
Elderly.
The story is, can you kind of like...
So I think it's going like a bit around, but I feel is about maybe she's trying to do good for her parents perhaps, but her parents doubts her good intentions, and then so that is part one. And the part two is now she has also developed these negative intentions towards her parents unknowingly. So it's like, how do I give genuinely, sincerely, without thinking like, alah, kasih tak guna.
Okay. Okay, so the first part of the question, I think that's
Yes, is it you who sent me? Maybe you want to explain? No, I know it's not you. She's like, yes, Fiza, that's exactly what it is. Right?
Yes.
But you feel very, no, you want a tissue? No, tak ada, but you're also having it. Okay.
Okay, Fiza. Okay, so I think the crux of what, I was sharing earlier about, it does not matter who the receiver is, what the background of the receiver is, and even the response of the receiver, because I want to highlight that I know it's hard, again, it's a reminder for myself, right? But try to detach the gift that we give, the charity that we give to this person from that person. Do you get what I mean? When we say lillahi ta'ala, for God only, it's really that. When we give, it's because God says giving is good, because giving has such significance in Islam, for example. And it's not because of the person receiving. And what matters is when I give, Allah accepts my gift. Allah accepts it as a form of charity that I have done for that person, right? Whether or not the person accepts it, whether or not the person yang masukkan, you know, we talk about when we give, we maintain the dignity of the person, right? We talk about not destroying our amalan with bad words or insults, but sometimes it's the opposite. It's the person receiving that has all these words for you. But it's okay. Okay? It's okay, because it does not mean that them not wanting to receive it means you are shortchanged for your pahala. You know what I mean? It does not mean that. In fact, God will take notice of that, despite the fact that this person is giving you a hard time, right? Is making it painful for you to continue giving. You do it anyway, for God and for Him alone. Okay? So remember that whatever that we do, God sees, God knows. So what matters is, as long as we keep our intentions clean and we detach our amalan, our gifting from the person who receives, inshallah we are good. Now, the second part about, now I have this negative intentions towards my mom or whoever it is, right? What can I do about it? I think at the end of the day, we are human. We have all these emotions. Okay, we don't deny it, but it's good that you are recognizing it. Okay, and let's find ways to manage it. Okay, again, like I say, if you can identify the root cause of that particular issue, right? There's a lot of maybe resentment in my mom not wanting to receive my gifts. Okay, then resolve it. Like, you know, address it. Like, okay, now I know whether or not my mom receives it in a positive manner, I still get the pahala. In fact, I might get more pahala because I continue doing it despite the pain, you know. And second point, maybe, you know, if I have this perception, maybe I can reframe, you know, how I perceive my mom, for example. Right? Maybe you can try to understand, like Ustazah Liyana cakap, she's not that she does not want to give, but she's had some experiences that have caused her to think a certain way. So if we can maybe develop an empathy, oh, my mom or this person is reacting in this way, is because of her past experiences. So I'll have a little bit more empathy for her, you know, so that I know how to, you know, behave around her. But if you really have all this, like, I think, unresolved pain when it comes to like generational trauma and all that, I would suggest that you speak to a therapist. We have our therapist at the back there. You know, they can help you to really sit down and identify what is exactly the pain, how can you manage it, how do you cope, what are strategies that you can consider in order to work on this particular relationship. Because from the way it's sounding, it's not just something that I can give you an ad hoc religious advisory and then you go home and everything's going to be good about it. It sounds something like, you know, you have to work through and you need the help of experts and professionals. So do consider that option.
Oh yes, please. This reminds me, this part of a talk that Haya did last Friday about the caregiver, and that was a paid session, right? No. Was it? Or was it a free session? MashaAllah. You should have come for that session. It was not live streamed, but sangat MashaAllah, because it was a talk that was handled by Ustazah Liyana Asmara as well, by Miss Fajar, Miss Oniata, who shared about their elderlies as well. So so Ustazah Liyana Asmara was wonderful sharing. She said she's an Ustazah herself, and you know, people expect her, you know, to have all this knowledge of agama knowledge and to be able to husnuzon and to calm herself down and everything else. So she says it's a daily struggle, but it's also important to adopt this thing of jangan mudah kecil hati. Don't be easily, you know, don't cling on to that feeling so fervently. When you are upset about it, don't bring it together with you, you know, for hours and for days. You really have to let it go very quickly, because you have to struggle with it every day, because you have other things to also worry about in your daily struggles. So next question, do you have any?
I think
Ustazah?
Just now, we cannot allow this mindset when you are, you know, you're dealing with your parents or your children or your anyone in your family members. You cannot think that abuse is okay. Like, abuse has no place in Islam. You cannot continue to say, oh, this is for Allah, right? I'm going to continue being abused. There's no way in Islam that says, okay, continue being abused, and then, you know, if you're patient, God will reward you for it. No, like, you gotta you gotta make sure there's justice for yourself. You gotta make sure that you don't become an abuser just because you're abused. You know, sometimes you suck in too much negativity, too much toxicity, that you yourself become this bitter person. In your effort of wanting to be sabar, in your effort of wanting to do it lillahi ta'ala, you absorb so much negativity that it turns you into a very ugly person. There's boundaries. Like I know of a student, the mom every day, say that I wish I didn't give birth to you. I wish I give you. Your face is ridiculous. I regret the pregnancy with you was horrible. You are the worst child alive. She's the only daughter compared to a group of brothers. And guess what? All the brothers remarry and are supporting their wife and their children. Is this girl that the mother said, I regret giving birth to you, is the very person that is feeding and giving money to both the parents. She's doing so much. And then what does she get in return? Not even a thank you. I wish I didn't give birth to you. And then, she became crazy. She continued giving. And then guess what? Right? One of the months she gave, you know what the mother say? It's so little. Might as well tak payah kasih. Right? Abuse, there's no place in Islam. And you have to separate the two. Cannot samakan. Okay? You giving is different than that person giving you a different kind of reaction. Cannot put them together. That's why it's very complex. It's very complex. Right? It's very, very complex. For example, situations with mother-in-law. No matter what you do, you have been wanting a child. You do all you can to have a child. But you are still not pregnant. And then what did your mother-in-law say? He should have married someone else. Right? And then you're like, okay, sabar, be in this marriage, insyaAllah, Allah will love us. Mawaddah, sakinah, rahmah. You feed religion inside of you. You force feed. And the results, it turned out so ugly. Because these kind of things, right? These kind of things, you cannot just plug different part of religion, put in, okay, it will work. You cannot. There's no automatic, this verse of the Quran, Allah said, Allah don't like talak. Take in, okay, my husband is abusive, but Allah don't like talak. Put in. And then guess what? You broke an arm. You broke a leg. Do you think that verse still is valid for you? So what our effort in Hayat Network has always been making you realize that for you to naikkan religion, you cannot abandon other systems in your life as well. Your financial, your social, your psychological, your physical. It's not just a religious solution that we're giving you. In order for you to solve one context, we have to explore all the different other contexts, and then we can say, in religion, this is one of the answers. In social, this is one of the answers. When you have a financial issue, this is one of the answers. There's no one answer fits all. So again, I don't know who this girl is. It seems like you clearly have conflict and tension with your parents. And if parents like to use that card. I'm your mother. I have tasted the world so much more longer than you. Ibu dah makan garam lebih dari kau. What's the worst? Paradise is under the feet of the mother. You want to enter heaven, right? You kiss my feet right now. Right? They just throw the religious card just like that. And then what do? You feel guilty, you chase the cards. And you compromise the bigger thing about religion, which is what? Justice for yourself. What would God want you to do? What would God want you to do? So again, I love what Ustazah Hannah shared just now. The different companions, when they ask the Prophet different things, his answers are very customizable, very different. He never say ayat Quran ni is for you. You also are same. Okay, take this. No, not at all. Okay, so sometimes to solve that kind of answers, you need, 10 sessions? 10, 15 sessions? Okay, so sorry, my dad. Okay, go ahead.
And just add on, sorry, macam topik ni memang ada sikit macam, So I don't, okay, I want to make a disclaimer. When I responded to that question or any question, the premise is always, it is never to encourage you to put up with emotional abuse, physical abuse, or any types of abuse. Okay? But that's the problem sometimes with questions asked during sessions like this. It's very short. I'm missing context, right? And sometimes when I respond, it's based on certain assumptions, based on certain context that I have in mind. Specifically, when I responded to that question, I had another person's question in mind where they said, I am very emotionally distanced from my mom because she left me. She left me when I was young. I grew up with someone else, right? And then suddenly now, I'm trying to be more religious, for example, right? And I understand that I have duties to carry out as a daughter. How do I do that while still being emotionally distanced from my mom? So my response to that is, don't think about whether your mom is deserving of receiving that of that responsibilities that you have for her. Carry out your responsibilities anyway. For example, she needs financial support, you give her financial support, right? She needs to be brought to the hospital, you bring her to the hospital. But what I'm saying, my advice to that person is, but if you need to draw that emotional boundary because she's eating you, for example, when you do things for her, it's still not enough and all that, you have the right to draw that emotional boundary. Your responsibilities is to take care of her needs, but that does not mean that you have to pander to and put up with her emotional abuse. Those are two different things. Okay? So I hope that, from this particular interaction, you also understand that sometimes when you ask question, when the asatiza answer or response, it's based on certain assumptions and context. So you cannot take the word of that ustazah as it is and say, this is how I need to do it. Because the ustaz doesn't know the context behind your question. So loaded, so much experience. You know what I mean? And then sometimes, party A go approach this ustaz. Ustaz, apa pandangan ustaz tentang orang ni? Adalah fulan ni, right? And then ustaz give you an answer. And then the other party goes to another ustazah. Ustazah, what do you think about this? Then ustazah also give you answer according to your question, based on what she understood on your question. Then the two of you came and dung. Let's battle it out. Which religious opinion is better? Ready, fight, No, that's not. And then you blame the ustaz. See, you pit the asatiza against each other. This ustaz says that ustazah says that. But how you phrase your question, my dear? How did he understand the question? How does she respond based on what assumption? Right? Because we are not Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We don't understand. We are not the leaders who understood the people, the situations and circumstances of the people who came to us. So to be fair, if you need a session, you need to tell the ustaz, do you have time? I really need to sit down and tell you everything. And best, if it involves conflict, come to, mediators, counselors, asatiza yang really can sit down and really listen to both parties. You know what I mean? If it's Hayat Network is one avenue, we know that, right? Or there are other avenues. What I'm saying is, don't tell only a very short version of an entire complex situation and then expect the person to answer and say, this is it. This is the answer I'm going home with, and this is the answer I'm going to hentam the other person with. Okay? So please understand that. That's why when you talk about fatwa, coming out with fatwa, it's a complex process. It's a science on its own. You need to understand you need to take into consideration everything, every single factor. Who's the audience? So what are the circumstances? What are the lived realities of people? So I'm just telling you these are the complex things. So never understand that there are limitations when it comes to asking questions, especially on such platforms. But that means come for more sessions, insyaAllah. Gitu.
No, but it's true, because you're talking about my parents are like this and this, but you don't know whether your parents are really independent people or your parents are very sickly old people as well, because it will now provide different context and different answer altogether. Okay, so yes, please.
So I have a question about dua.
Dua.
Just to give context to this dua.
Okay, context is?
Because I have a friend or an old acquaintance. She was born into the father is a staunch Catholic or Christian and the mother used to be Muslim. So when I know her, in fact, she was teaching me about Islam. And she knows more than I know because she grew up in an Islamic country. Tapi mak dia keluar Islam lah. So now, right, I have a soft spot for her. Okay, like every time I make dua, I want to make dua for her. But then there's also there's this, I don't know if it's a hadith or a saying that says that the difference between you and a non-believer is that at the end of the day, you go to heaven and the non-believer, go to the hellfire. So with that perspective, right, do I continue making dua for her?
She's not Muslim.
No, they are. I mean, like the mom left, and then they are all like I think Christian or Catholic. I don't
Also,
know.
the mom used to be a Muslim,
Yes.
but then she
Left. So when my friend grew up, she was raised in a household where she learned about both Islam and Christianity or Catholicism. Yeah, but she's not a Muslim.
and you believe that she knows more about Islam.
No,
and
because
she
when
can
I
share
started
more.
to learn about the deen, she was actually teaching me some rules. She was actually correcting some of the some Islamic jurisprudence like ruling that is like if you kasih zakat is the asnaf is this not as what you said. Then I was like, mak ai dia tahu sih. Then-
Mak ai, mak kau.
yeah, because it's like she knows more than me. So I was like, but you're not a Muslim, and it's so sayang. So that's why because of that, right, she have a very soft spot in my heart, and I always want to make dua for her, but I don't know whether is it accepted or not.
How are you? How is your relationship with her now? Do you guys meet often?
I don't see her anymore. She moved back to Indonesia. Yeah,
Oh,
but
okay.
it has been like 8 years, but I still like.
Still in contact.
No, I don't in contact. Just Instagram friend actually.
So your communication is through your prayers.
Yeah.
Where is this guilt coming from? Where do you feel? Why suddenly you feel guilty to make dua for her?
No, I feel like because of that thing that says that if you are a believer, so she's not a believer, but I wish she is, and I always make dua that one day she become Muslim, but unlikely lah because of the lifestyle that she's living lah. So yeah.
Can you just give her a round of applause? It's so nice to have a friend like this. What's your name?
Aini.
Sorry?
Aini.
Ayuni? Amy. Aini.
Aini.
Aini. My eye.
Yeah.
Oh.
MasyaAllah, beautiful.
You doakan I tak? You sebagai seorang sah. Aini, I think you can make dua for anyone you want. You can make dua for a cat, if your cat is sick, you can make dua, oh Allah, give my cat health. You can make dua for anyone. And at the end of the day, none of us is in a position to say that friend of yours is not going to enter God's heaven. I think one thing we always forgot, yes, there are enough verses or hadiths that talk about paradise and hell. But there are also so many other verses that talk about wa rahmati wasi'at kullu shay, and God's mercy will forever encompasses everything and anything else. If His mercy is like, no, she must have done something right, and then at the last moment, she suddenly, I believe in God, right? We don't know. So to answer your question in short, you can make dua for her. It's the tool that you own. It's yours. You know what to do with it. You can craft it in a way that is special to you. You can make dua for her to accept Islam. You can make dua for her heart to be okay. You can make dua for God to send out angels to protect her. We cannot discriminate our dua for selected people. You from City Harvest, right? You go that hall. Sorry, this prayer only for Ashhadu an la ilaha. Cannot. We cannot discriminate our dua like that. What kind of a Muslim are we? I'm so sorry, you don't deserve my prayer. My sister, my director was in the hospital. She was in ICU for 30 days to be exact. Right? In that ICU waiting area, there were like 8 different families, because in the ICU ward, there are like 40 wards. And then we would take shift, right? There would be different people with different religion waiting. Everyone is praying for the same thing, for their loved one to be healthy again. I am with my tasbih and my Quran. My sister Myra is with her own zikir. And then Kat is with her panting here and there. Ustazah Hannah was there, she was reading Quran. And then you will see other families with their book, their Bible. They also have their own tasbih, right? And then you also have, all of us are doing like this. Waiting. Apa ada sound effect to show, sungguh-sungguh. All of us were praying for the same thing. Might be to different God, but we were all praying to a God. If I was this selfish girl, I would just like, my religion, only my sister is going to get answered because Allah is a true God, so my answer is going to be answered. So what I did was, I went to each and everyone. This is not lying. I'm not trying to say I'm a good person. I literally went to every single one of them, and then I make prayer. I said, I pray for your sister. If it's I pray for your sister to get better soon, for her infection to go away, and for her lungs to function again. Give me her full name. That, you know, Islam is not about what you just say, but it's really about what's inside. So I literally, I don't know what, but I think at that point of time, at the lowest point, religion connected us. So I went to each and everyone. Who is it? Is it Dajjali social worker? Like, who is it? Your sister? What's the sickness? And I took effort to memorize the patient's full name. And you make dua. Then when I pray right in front of the ICU unit, I make dua. I include, sometimes their name is difficult to mention, right? But I included. And then guess what? What's your sister's name? I also make dua for her. I will make prayer for her. It becomes a mutual exchange. To answer your question, make dua for her as much as you can. This Ramadan, for her to be included in your dua in this special night is truly a blessing to have a friend like you. What is wrong?
Anyone else? Just raise your hands and I'll come over. You have a question? I'm just guessing from behind your mask though. Like just your eyes alone. I'm like, okay, she wants me to come over.
I just want to ask, like, if a Chinese can say Alhamdulillah and how to respond to it.
Chinese say Alhamdulillah.
Like, Assalamualaikum. Sometimes we like, or Alhamdulillah. So for her case, it's Alhamdulillah. And what if someone else also say Assalamualaikum to you and you know it's a non-Muslim? And for her case, it's Alhamdulillah.
Well, I can't remember if it was the hadith or the Quranic verse, but I think it's a hadith. It says that if someone gives you a salam, reply it, you know, with the same level of response or better. So someone says Assalamu alaikum, then you say Wa alaikum assalam, you can stop there, or Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh, right? So you can extend it. So, and that is a general, what do you call it? General advisory. It does not say that, oh, if it's a non-Muslim, you don't reply to their salam. For example, they want to wish you peace. And it's not wrong for us to also reply. It's a beautiful greeting. And then you reply with the same level of response or even more, or even better. Okay, so there is a particular narration of where there was a Jew, right, who gave the Prophet salam. What was it? I think Assam alaikum. Right? So he purposely, macam, Assam means poison. Assalam, so you know, Assalamualaikum. You don't wish people poison, okay? So Assalamualaikum means salam, like peace, right? And so the person sengaja, dia tukarkan Assam. So the Prophet said, Wa alaikum. Alaikum. So that is in reference to that particular where there was distortion. But otherwise, in general, there isn't anything to stop you from responding. The person is respecting you and your religion. Says, Assalamu alaikum, I'm greeting you with the greeting of peace as taught by your religion. And you can respond with the greeting of peace from my religion. And I wish for you peace and more. Okay, it's okay.
Can I add, Fiza? We are living in a world where you look at the news and then you see all these things going on, and then people are starting to doubt Islam. You know, then we people are starting to doubt Muslims. You know, oh, I don't even know what your religion is. You know, who are all this? Like, what is so wrong about responding, you know, to the non-Muslims when they give us goodness? This is the time where we have to live our religion physically, externally, and literally spread harmony and peace. This is not about, oh, you're Muslim, I don't think you deserve my salam. Oh, you're not a Muslim, I don't think you deserve my dua. No, this is where we have to, you know, hold hands with everyone else, because guess what? Even if they have different religion than us, they too are God's creation. If you are supposed to be good and kind to animals, what more humans? So don't have this barrier that, oh, you're not a non-Muslim, I'm sorry, I have my walls guarded, I'm just not comfortable. Right? No, like religion should make you a better person, not a bitter person where you put people in categories. You Buddhist, okay lah, you here. You Hindu, okay lah, you this box. You animal, okay, you this box. I'm not saying you call some people animal lah. That one is you. Whoever laugh, I mean. So don't discriminate others. They too deserve our They too deserve our what? You all fill up the
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day we remember that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was sent as rahmatan lil alamin, right? A blessing to the entire world. It's not just for Muslims alone, for animals, for non-Muslims. So it's for everyone. Everyone living on this earth, they are deserving of God's rahmah, of also the mercy and compassion that you can show as human being. Okay, that's why there's a famous hadith. There was a Jew funeral, right? That kind of passed by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he stood up as a sign of respect for the person who has passed on. So the Sahaba was like, why are you even standing up? He's not a Muslim, kan? That's why kita kadang-kadang kalau nampak macam apa, Chinese funeral ni cina mampus ni, right? You know that kind of thing. These are things that kind of like we inherited from generations. But it's not wrong for us to reflect on these practices and ask, is it necessarily a good practice? Is it in line with the values that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam had taught us, right? So when he was questioned, why did you even stand up for this person? I said, is he not alive? So the Prophet is telling you, anything that has life, especially it's a human life, it deserves respect and compassion. Okay? So if someone gives you salam, reply the salam. If you want to make dua for that person, even if it's non-believer, why can't we make a dua? Right? Why can't we hope and pray for goodness for a non-believer? There's nothing to stop us, from praying for a non-believer. Okay? Thank you.
Let's do a challenge. The last 10 nights Ramadan. You give food or you give something to a friend or a neighbor that's from a different religion. Can be anyone. I'm sure you have like 1 or 2 friends, right? Or you can send some presents to your friend in Jakarta. Anyone, if you have a friend or a neighbor or someone at work, right, who's of different religion, buy something with the intention, okay, you know what? It's Ramadan because I love you and treasure you as a friend. This is a gift for you. Can? Nobody say can, Ustazah. Okay, Fiza. Okay, Alhamdulillah, we can wrap up.
All right, Alhamdulillah. I think the questions today got pretty emotional, and I really may dua that may all of your challenges be eased. Ameen. And I think what is more difficult than just normal work problems, actually really relationship problems, because you live with it every day from morning till night, and it really bugs you as you go about your daily routines, and especially you want to give your ultimate khushu and focus. So maybe we can end today's session with some last words from you, Ustazahs. In case any one of us here are facing different challenges, may our challenges be eased, inshallah, and may we really, really make this Ramadan the best one yet for all of us. And we're so glad that we get to meet you here today, although we're not in Al-Falah as we usually are every Sunday. But today we we culminated in a shopping mall, no less. So today is the last of our Ramadan Reach Out, and it's never the last of anything. Inshallah, we will come up with something again for the ladies, inshallah. But meanwhile, if you're watching us right now, and you see this logo, Haya Network, Haya is of course an institution that strives to help women from all kind of backgrounds, all kind of situations, and even the men as well, who have of course, men and women, it's really just in tandem with everything, conflicts and everything else. So they at High Network has a team of expertise to deal with a lot of emotional baggage. as we all do, and do reach out, to them for help, and follow their social media as well to find out if there are any updated any events that's in the pipeline of 2023. So Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, let us continue and let us end today's session with the last words of Ustazah Liyana Musfirah, and then followed by Ustazah Nurhana Irwan.
I think one thing is, don't ever let your doubt, your whispers of doubt, to overtake your belief and your values. Like, I think one thing we forget, that God has given each one of us that light. Sometimes it's so dull, you don't know where it is. So you let yourself clouded by all these whispers of doubt, whispers of I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy of God's love. Don't let that cloud the light of faith that you already have. So however you are this Ramadan, wherever you are, find that light again and expand. Do you guys understand what I mean? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, I just want to emphasize that when we talk about religion in a way that hopes to give people hope, we talk about God's mercy and compassion and love, it does not mean that we forget that Islam is about Bashira wa Nadhira. That means it gives good tidings, but it also reminds people that if you don't do certain things, there are consequences. But the premise of our sharing is to tell you that we know that you are already aware of these consequences. We know that you've been told a lot of times, if you don't choose to do this, these are the consequences. And God's punishment is scary, right? God punishes people who don't listen to Him, who do not obey to Him. We are aware of that, and we know you are aware of that. But I think a lot of the sisters who came to our sessions previously and even now, they came with a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety. I've not been a good Muslim. What do I do now? I don't know where to start. Am I doomed for failure? Am I doomed for hellfire? So this is where we come. This is the premise from where we come from. We want you to know that yes, there are consequences for your actions if you don't do certain things right. But we want you to know at the end of the day, God's mercy far supersedes His wrath. And that's something that He said Himself. So we hope that we give you enough hope, enough assurance that you're not too late. It's never too late to start. Again, come as you are, come as you are, come as you are. Okay, come with your weaknesses, with your imperfections, because God is the only one that is perfect, and He wants you to come to Him. No matter how many times you failed in coming to Him, He is always there. He never say, I keep count. This is the 100th time in the second year that you're doing this. Because that's human. That's human. We are always tired. We get tired of people. We give up on people. Don't peg our weaknesses to our perfect God. Just because we are like that, it does not mean that our God is like that. So I hope this is where you understand where we're coming from. It's not that we're trying to sugarcoat things, and say that, you only need to do good things. You don't need to stay away from bad things. No. You do bad things, there are consequences. Right? And we know you know that. So we want you to now help you find the spark to motivate you and not lose hope. Because once you lose hope, that's a very dangerous thing, isn't it? Okay? So I hope that you understand where we're coming from, and I hope that we've shared enough hope, love, and compassion that you remember that no matter where you are in your life, there is always God to turn back to, because He will never turn you away. And I think that's the message that we really want to convey to you, inshallah.
Thank you, Ustazah. That's really beautiful. Thank you for coming as you are today to our session. And so sorry, I always forget to bring my own tissue. I was actually very happy just now that, okay, today I never cry. Thank you, Ustazah. MashaAllah, it's really beautiful, and we never lose hope in, in reaching out to our perfect creator, because there's no one else who bothered listening to our problems 5 times a day or more a day, but only our perfect creator, mashallah. And as we end today's session, I would like to share with you our kind sponsor as well, Din Dunia. Shout out to Din Dunia. Thank you for sponsoring our abayas today. Thank you so much. And if you girls want to get your Din Dunias as well, they have their booth right outside, so do your shopping right outside. And also we have prepared a box right outside for you to give your kind donations as well as you take exit today, because what happens is your kind donations will be able to help fund for future classes for those who aren't able to afford classes at higher network. So mashallah, just imagine you would like yourself to attend such classes, and you like other women who needs help to also attend such classes in a situation that they cannot afford. So sangat mashallah. And I would like to also thank everyone that's behind the scenes. Thank you, Casey, every single week coming down here, carrying really heavy loads for us to make sure the live stream goes really well. Dah nak nangis lah pula. Thank you, Cik Wahab, for coming today. Today we are trying out like super high resolution, super high functioning equipment today, the best that we bring it out today for Higher Network. And of course, thank you to the whole entire team of Higher Network. We have Nasha, who hosts for us as well. We have Puan Maimuna mostly, who's amazing, and Miss Fajaria, who's amazing, and Ya Allah, Misha as well, who takes great photos. And I need you, Misha, in my team. Tiba kau ambil orang punya. We have so many people as part of Ramadan Reach Out, mashallah. Onata FN is watching us live right now. We also have other speakers. We have okay, Rohani Irwan lah. That's all. We've not had like 30 episodes yet. Okay, so we're gonna be seeing you in our next new series, inshallah. With this, thank you and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Have a very blessed Ramadan. Amin ya rabbal alamin.